Hello, this is Jen T. Grace. I am the founder and CEO of Publish Your Purpose. And today is my book launch, which I am quite excited about. And the book is called Publish Your Purpose. It is a step-by-step guide to write, publish, and grow your big idea, which might be the first time I have said the title and subtitle succinctly without botching it. So I'm impressed. It's launch day. Here we are. So I'm excited about this conversation today because instead of just having this be a kind of me going on and on about my new book and how excited I am with my new book, I am bringing in a bunch of other authors who have worked on their books for quite some time in some cases where, some of us painfully move through the publishing process, through the writing process and the publishing process. And some of us just kind of crank it out fast, and everyone's kind of in a different place and a different journey. And so for me, this book started on July 9th of 2020. And so it was kind of I started it, I put it down, I started it, I put it down. It's kind of a lot of this back and forth. And so I'm finally here and having it published, which feels like a monumental effort. And it is October 11th, which is also National Coming Out Day. So it was intentional that I included that on here as well, even though this book has nothing to do with coming out, other than maybe coming out as an author, which I think can be as scary at times for folks. And the thing I have as an ask for folks today is I have discounted the book on Amazon for the ebook to $2.99. So if anyone just kind of wants to get access to it at a reduced price, it is there today for $2.99. If you do that, my request is leaving a review. So I'm not really focused on, hey, go buy the book so we can get bestseller status. I'm focused on making sure that this book gets into the hands of the people who need it. And that means getting it into the hands of libraries so that way the book is accessible for people in whatever economic situation they themselves might be in. So my goal is to get reviews. And so with reviews comes more exposure in the algorithms in primarily Amazon. Unfortunately, Amazon is kind of still the place where people at least are at least doing their research around books. So that's my goal. So if you've already bought the book, which I had a lot of pre-orders, and I have made my local post office very angry lately, making many trips with a lot of books. But if you've already bought the book, please take a moment to leave a review today, if you don't mind. That would be my number one goal. Okay, so just a little bit about the book. It's a step-by-step guide to write, publish, and grow your big idea. So it does kind of anchor into three separate pieces of this process. It is the writing, it is the publishing, and then it's kind of like what you do with the book. So there's a lot of marketing in this book as well. And my intention with this book was to kind of demonstrate for folks what's possible. Because I think sometimes when we look at books, we think of them in a certain way. Even if I asked you the question of like, what is like when you think of a book, what are you thinking of? Are you thinking of a coffee table book? Or are you thinking of a novel? Are you thinking of a nonfiction book that's heavy with graphics? Everyone kind of has their own vision for it. And so for this book, it is very graphically heavy. It is full color. It is designed in a way to be as accessible as possible. My goal was to write a book that was 35,000 words. It is 68,000 words. So it's just a little bit more than my intention was. But because it ended up being so much bigger than I had planned, I had to make sure that it was designed in a way that really felt accessible, that didn't feel like, wow, this book is so big, so thick, so overwhelming. The goal is to simplify the writing process, the publishing process, and then the marketing process in a way that we can see people have bigger impact. So that's kind of just a little snippet about the book. I am doing let's see if I can get this up on the screen with ease. I am doing a book giveaway. So if anyone is interested in getting a book for free, if you go to publishyourpurpose.com/book giveaway, you can be entered to win that. It'll also include a couple of additional signed copy and a couple additional little items that I will remain nameless. So it'll be a surprise if you were the one who gets chosen. Okay, so enough about me. I didn't want to spend a lot of time here talking about myself. I really am more a spirit of collaboration and bringing in amazing human beings to share the day with me. And so my agenda, I got a whole bunch of folks here. There's 14 people kind of waiting in the waiting room right now. And so I'm first going to bring up my book launch twin, Midge Noble. How are you feeling today? Because today's your book launch day too.
It is. It is. Here's my book, like a real book, and it's my launch date, and I'm so excited. I'm over the moon. It's been a very busy day already. And thank you to you, Jen T. Grace. I'm so happy that I chose you as my publisher. You are a gift to me and to all the people who are behind me.
Oh, you're so sweet. Tell those that are watching a little bit about your book, because the October 11th date was not just an accident as well on your behalf.
No, this is so perfect that it happened on October 11th, because I am my brand. I am gay with God. This is all about my journey of being totally clueless about my sexuality. All of the trials and all of the things that I went through, you're just not going to believe it. But I finally got to it, and I know that I'm gay. I know that I have a deep relationship with the God of my understanding. And this is a way for other people who are looking for that to reclaim their faith and honor their story. This is my story, and I will join you in the search for your story.
Oh, I love that, Midge. And so, Midge, if you make sure you put your details in the chat, because Midge it's launch day for her too. So launch day is really important to get people to pay attention, to get people to notice your book, so that way it gets the algorithms to do their thing and help show that book to other people. Because as you're going to see as we talk to other authors, you'll see that there's such a deep connection to purpose with everyone's book that is going to talk about their book today. And so the more we can support folks, the better. So Midge, make sure your information is there. People know how to get in touch with you. You also have a fantastic podcast that people can listen to. So
yes,
there's that as well. And then I took over Midge's podcast this week to help her launch her book. So
Woo, I was sweating. I
know how to ask the hard-hitting questions, Midge.
Yes, you do. And thank you so much. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all your support. I'm supporting you as well.
Oh, amazing, Midge. All right. I am now going to see if I can do this effortlessly and have Midge go away and Paula to join. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Paula. So you are like a week or two away from launching your book. So would you mind telling us about your book?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the launch date is the 24th of October. And my book, this is the copy that just came. It's called Too Busy for Enlightenment. And what it's about is experiences with higher energy. First of them sort of random, things like near-death experience, stuff like that. And then some practices that help us touch on higher energy. The book is written in the first person. It's autobiographical, but it's not, it reads, I think, like a novel, less like a memoir and less like a self-help book. So I'm sort of at the other end from you, Jen, in your fabulous book where you're sharing what you've done and how to do it. Mine is more like, I'm just a little chicken on the path, and these are the things that I found, and you can maybe take a couple of them or take none of them and just read it for the story.
Yeah. And you know what I love is, because it is about energy, I love when you connect with somebody and it's like you're walking the walk and talking the talk. And in your case, your energy is just always so beautiful, and you can tell that you're always so present. And it just, like, any conversation is always just, I don't know, you can just feel like your energy emanating. So I think you're probably a little bit more than just a chicken on the path.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. And I think, like everybody else here, this process for me has been such a pleasure, where every step of the way I've learned not only about publishing a book, but I've also learned about writing a book, and I've learned about myself, you know, as you guys have shared your genius and the way you take us through the road of doing this. So thank you so much. And I will go on Amazon and toot your horn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, we need to toot everyone's horns.
Exactly. Yes.
It's the only way we can do it. I actually think we should have a book review party, by the way. That is also kind of on my radar for everybody that is in the little squares below that no one else can see. So that is, be on the lookout for that next.
What if we all just like get snacks and make a time like 7 to 8 one night, and we just go online and have each other on Zoom and like just review books?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We can all share each other's books with each other, so that way we're leaving honest reviews. Yeah, I'm cooking up something. So maybe we'll include snacks, and it'll be in the evening. All right. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you.
Okay,
so
thanks
much,
for
Paula.
having me on.
I
Good
really
luck.
appreciate it. All right.
Bye.
I'm going to, let's see if we can take Paula down and add Nell, whose book just came out.
Here it is.
Yes. Tell us more.
So the playbook is also here. And what they're about is purpose, using purpose to improve performance specifically, and performance in 3 dimensions. So it is good for us as individual humans to be connected to the impact that we want to have in the world. It is good for our teams and our organizations in very concrete ways, not only kind of trust and collaboration and innovation, but saving bottom line costs through retention and all of that. And then it's good for the world, right? You and I are on the Be Local board together, deep in the B Corp community. And I just don't believe that anyone wakes up wanting to burn more carbon than they need to, or, hate on people because of gender or sexuality or anything else that there might be, despite what we're seeing in the world today and so much. And so I believe that helping people connect to purpose in a very actionable way, this book is just super practical and like, what are you doing today? What about breakfast? How did you sleep? How are you going to facilitate this meeting, right? Very, very practical approach to reducing the pressure around purpose. You do not have to reforest the Amazon or end the wage gap on your own in order to be a purposeful human. So I love the Publish Your Purpose message. You guys were so instrumental. My review hopefully will go live shortly. I wrote it yesterday. So I just love it. I think it's so powerful for all of us who have a book in us to have support and guidance like you guys offer to get that out, because it is one way that might come up in people's playbook exercises about what they want to contribute to the world.
Yes. And I love everything about your book. And as you just said, like, you and I are on the Be Local board together. And what I love so much is that strategy is the common denominator between the two of us. Like, our brains are just wired for strategy. And so your book is just kind of inherently baked into kind of the strategic side of purpose, but also making it accessible, right? Where it doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be reforesting, the Amazon. There's all these little micro things that we can do that make a big difference.
And in fact, if you're not environmental scientist or in the lumber industry, like, please don't worry about reforesting the Amazon, because you're not a professional at it, and we need professionals to take care of that.
Yeah.
So I'm really big, especially in this moment. We're all so tired.
Oops.
Sorry. But especially those of us who care about purpose, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and that is not conducive, right? Neurologically, that shuts down our creativity. It's not motivating or inspiring. So really what it's about is like finding those micro things and being, it's a framework. It's kind of type A and analytical, strategic, to your point. That's just the way I operate. So yeah, get it done in all the small ways.
I love that. And I think a takeaway for, I would imagine, most of us in our books is that we don't have to be the expert on all of the things to still be the author of a book about the thing.
Bingo. Love it.
Yeah.
1000%.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nell. I really appreciate it.
Congrats, Jen. Thank you for all the work you do in the world. So glad to have you, and so glad to have this.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you.
Congrats.
Love it. All right. I'm going to remove Nell, and I'm going to add one of 3 Jennifers, because why not have 4 on a call of 15 people? Jennifer Brown, if you would like to join me up here. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, of course.
There we go. We got it.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Congratulations. I feel like we've done this many times before for each other.
We have, and that's why I have you in this order. So because you are part of where it all began with PYP.
Yes, and indeed,
really.
And I want to show the hardcover 2017.
Oh yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yep.
that you rescued. It was the Wayward book, my first. It almost got away from us, but we grabbed it back. And I know it wasn't easy for either one of us, but it was definitely a learning experience that set us off on quite a path.
It did. I feel like if I were to combine all of the worst case scenarios that can occur in a book and just wrap them into one, it would have been that book. So,
Thank you.
Yes, the rescue and it being a runaway is very accurate.
It's true. We had to herd it into existence.
We
Definitely.
did.
Definitely.
And so tell us more, about your work in that book.
Yeah. Well, so, writing books, as you know, of all people, you're even ahead of me in terms of number of books. It's such an addiction. It's an expensive habit, but you conveniently forget all of the trials and tribulations when you actually hold it in your hand. You are so proud. It is your baby. It is your creation. It's your message to the world. It's your legacy. It's so worth it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but maybe those of you who are listening to this, if you have a book in you, if you have an untold story, particularly if it feels vulnerable and it's something that you haven't quite figured out, like why it would matter and how to tell it, and which audience would appreciate it, and how you would move from shame to pride, for example, about like things that have happened to you. I guarantee there's usually an audience that really needs to hear it. And it's so worth it. It's just so important. And Jen, to find a community that like you've gathered of purpose-oriented people, that are trying to change the world, break paradigms, push through barriers, bring visibility. I think that's what we all share. And so your community is incredible. And that's one of the things it's not just like how awesome you are at what you do, but it's the people that you magnetize to your community that are just, incredible humans. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Totally.
Yes, you've been along the ride of PYP from day one, or before it was a thing. So I appreciate you being on the roller coaster, and I'm on your roller coaster. So
Yeah.
We're mutual
swinging for dear life.
Seriously, on a regular basis. Yes.
But huge congratulations and hello to all the other authors that I don't know and that I do know. And it's so nice to be just here for a moment, like dropping into this space of just like, again, like big-hearted change makers. So
thank
you, Jen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you drop your links in the comments below as well.
Will do.
All right, let's see. I'm going to take this Jen down. And let's see, I'm going to add, and I will, another Jen, Jennifer Rosado. I'm going to add Ellen. I'm going to add Ryan. And I'm going to add Betsy. Oh, nope. I'm going to remove Betsy because I want to keep it clear for everyone. So we're going to do multiple groups. I don't want anyone in a tiny little square. All right. So I wanted to kind of add, just to be able to see a couple faces at once. So it's not just, just not one-on-one. So Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about your book first?
Sure. My book is, can't really say, My Alternate Universe, Anxiety, Autism, and Adventure in a Parallel Reality. And it's about my experience as a person with anxiety, raising a child with severe autism. So it kind of follows my journey through, basically through his birth, all the way up to 12 years old. And yes, it's a memoir. And I published that last April of 2022. So it's been out for a little while.
It sure has. All right. And then all right. So I'm going to go to Ellen next, and then we'll come back.
Hi. So my book is called I Thought You Knew, Confessions of a Chronic Assumer. And it's really a series of stories about how assumptive I have been throughout my life. It started coming up a lot during the pandemic in 2020 when everyone was remote from one another, and I had these teams of people that were making these wild assumptions about what was happening with other members of their team, and it just prompted me to start really thinking about how pervasive assumptions are in our communication and how much damage they do. And so, I mean, you can trace all of the horrible things that have happened with police brutality to assumptions and projections and fears and stereotypes that we make. And all of that is rooted in assumption. So this is a collection of stories about ways that I have gotten it very wrong, because what is more fun to read than somebody else's mess ups? And then tips in every chapter about simple ways, very practical, simple ways that you can do something different and maybe get a different result or outcome. And mine came out in almost exactly a year ago, actually. 1 year ago last week was the launch of my book. And of course, there's another one around the corner, but we won't talk about that one right now. Thanks for having me here, and congratulations, Jen.
Oh, thanks, Ellen. I appreciate it. Ryan, I have not seen your face in, it seems like too long, and I love your background.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for putting this together and celebrating your book, but celebrating all of our books as well. And my book is called My Drug Dealer Brought Me to God. And it is a journey of my life through my childhood trauma all the way until adult trauma and kind of how we navigate that. And there's a 40-page workbook in the back. So it's kind of like a hybrid between self-help memoir. And really, it shows a big piece of my recovery journey. I was addicted to opioids. I've been sober roughly 12 years now. And that's where I think the book finds itself the most, is in folks in recovery or trauma survivors, and also people navigating like spirituality in the queer world. The queer identifying folks seem to resonate. And so it has been a journey to call myself an author even, right? And so I think that's the biggest takeaway for me, is that when I was able to really own, like, I am an author, and I made this dream come true with the help of Jen, of course, and PYP, I realized I can make other dreams come true in my life, and let that ripple out into other things that I was working on, and really built my confidence out. And so that's one of my main messages. And then I just want to throw this in real quick, is that we all have a story to share, no matter who you are. And you can share that in a book. You can share that on stage. You can share that with close friends or family. You can share that in a small group. You can share that in a journal and not ever tell a single person, but share your story. Get it out on paper. Get it out in some type of form. It's really therapeutic, and it's a beautiful experience. And just wanted to say thank you, Jen, for inviting us all here to celebrate you and celebrate people sharing their stories, sharing their visions, and sharing their dreams.
So well said, Ryan. So well said. Thank you all. I think I'm gonna have people come back up after. So I'm gonna see if I can have you all roll out and bring in some new folks. And so for those who are in the, that all have been on video already, we're gonna have time. We're moving very efficiently, which I feel like might be because I have, over time, I put you on the spot all the time to force you to kind of talk about your book succinctly, which I think is effective and working quite well. And so we're going to have time. So those of you who have been on or haven't yet been on, if you have something you want to say after, just I'm going to have you raise your hand, because I can see all of you at the bottom, and then I'll just kind of bring people up as makes sense. And so here is our next group of amazing human beings. And I'd like to start with Betsy.
Well, hello, Jen. I got to start this day with, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for your book, and I can't wait to get my hands on it because I've read all your books. So thank you for inspiring us, and really for lovingly kicking me over the finish line. So it took me about 5 years to write my book, Shake It Off Leadership, Achieving Success Through the Eyes of Our Labels. And the cover is so beautifully done by my son. So Matt Gifford, he's an amazing artist. This book is part memoir, and it's part roadmap for my many years in leadership. I think it took me about 5 years to get it done. And I'm really proud of it, because it allowed me to really talk about a lot of the things that occurred in my life that helped me to be a very strong and wise leader that I am today. And it also talks about my recovery from alcoholism, so I can appreciate what Ryan shared, and really to highlight for us that there's different things that occur in our life. We can either hang on to those labels, or we can use it as a badge of honor to really empower those on our journey. So, at this point in my career, this is really about me helping to open up the doors for other LGBT business owners and allies, the way other people did for me. I am also, my first book was a children's book, Miss Crabapple and Her Magical Violin. which I love. I love kids' books. And as a result of Shake It Off Leadership, I started a podcast series, which I'll also put in the chat through my work. So my day job is I'm CEO of AdNet AccountNet. We're a professional staffing company that does work nationally. I have an amazing group of women that work for me, and they inspire me every day to be my best. So we need a lot of help out there in the work of building work cultures. We have a heart-centered work culture. So part of my journey with writing books, and I have another one that's going to be that I'm working on, is about stretching our views of what leadership is and about what the possibility of workplaces can be, and to make sure they are equitable and loving and kind.
I love that, Betsy. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, Latanya, talk to us.
Hello. There was a little background noise. Is it gone now?
It is, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's no static. So I'm Latanya, and I wrote a book called Leading Below the Surface. It's all about building relationships across differences that are real and psychologically safe. I still have my beloved copy here. That this is my first book, and it was no easy feat. So I still show people my marked up version. And a little bit about the book is I'm just really honored that it's done pretty well, and I'm really honored that I found Publisher Purpose, and they helped me through this journey. I spent quite a while as a corporate executive working in leadership development, and I was really frustrated by the leadership models. I also teach MBA students at the university level, so it's been wonderful, and I'll post a little bit more about Leading Below the Surface. We have podcast tools, runs the gamut, do a lot of speaking, and so yeah, I'm here, and I'm excited to be celebrating with all these other authors. I've met some others from the Publish Your Purpose community, including Rhodes, and so it's for those just coming in, welcome. I just think it's just the gift that just keeps giving back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Latanya. Rhodes, how about yourself? Talk to us.
Yeah. Well, huge congratulations to you, Jen. I lost count on the number of books that you have published. They're all incredible, and I'm excited to read through this one. So this is just a reflection of how you build community by bringing in so many authors like us. And like what Latanya was saying, I think that's like one of the big gifts, is that we're not working in isolation when we're dreaming about our books. And that was one of the big benefits that I got on the first book that I worked with you on. And that's belonging at work. So for folks that don't know me, my name is Rhodes. I use he, him, his pronouns. And this book was published in 2018, and folks still, find this to be pretty helpful, and really just wrapping your arms around this concept of belonging. I think we all, at least for me, when I hear it, my heart kind of lights up. And when I introduce the topic to leaders in workplaces, they like it, right? But it feels elusive, and really trying to understand the ingredients of what it takes to build a culture where the foundation is rooted in safety and trust. And like, how do we orient to a vision that builds a culture that, in 90% of the organizations I'm working at, they're not quite there yet. They're a work in progress. So this first book is really like the what, why, and how. And it's everyday actions that any of us can take, no matter our role. And I think people have found this to be really helpful. In the last chapter, I talk about setting a vision, right? Being really clear. Doing all these actions is great, but if we just do them without a focus, we might be moving in circles without any intention. And I got a lot of feedback on that when the book came out, of, I really wish you would elaborate more on this kind of vision setting, and what does it take, and taking a deeper dive into what workplace culture is, and the difference between an implicit one that's just on autopilot versus like a very intentional one that we're actively co-creating. So that was the second book. I came back to you, Jen. I was like, I have this idea. Should I do it? Can I, put out another version of Belonging at Work? And so we worked together. And the second book is called Imagine Belonging. So that's it's a little meatier, you know, and this one is for leaders, where it really is a resource and a guide to think about culture, to think about their own leadership traits, to think about team building, and how to actually structure an organization. So there's more of the mechanics of that. So it was awesome. I really loved working with you. Highly recommend anyone else, you know, if you're feeling motivated, or the other authors who have other ideas that they're brewing on, like, continue to work with you, or consider working with you, because it's a real pleasure. And I was thinking about the Maya Angelou quote, where it's like, I'm going to butcher it, but it's the agony of not being able to tell your story. And I feel like this book is hopefully an inspiration for people to think about, wait a minute, I do have a story and I'm ready, you know. And it's a tender process, and you really do an outstanding job of guiding us through that. So thank you. And congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate your picking up on kind of the intentionality behind this book, because it's, you know, we have hundreds of blog posts, we have podcasts, I've been on podcasts, and all the information kind of lives in some form or fashion. But the intention with this book was to kind of put it all into one place, so that way someone can go from start to finish with it. And so it will be available in libraries and in places like that in January, if everything goes as it should, which, you know, we all know with books, things are a little tricky every now and then. So just to make it accessible for folks, because that's ultimately my goal. And if anyone is watching this and for any reason, you know, gaining access to the book is just not something you can financially do, you can just send us an email, and we're happy to make sure that you get a copy, because I just want to make sure that there's no barrier to telling our stories, because this industry is so filled with gatekeepers who are the ones who decide whose story is worth or not worth being told. And I don't think that's fair. So it's part of my bigger mission. Thank you for picking up on that. I appreciate it. All right, let's see if I can effortlessly do this. Thank you all. All right, so now I have Fern. Okay, where's Fern? There she is. And another Jen to round out the 4 in this call. And I think that we're missing a couple folks, but I think I have everyone that's in here. Okay, so let's start with you, Fern. Talk to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So first of all, Jen, you know, I came to you with this idea for a book, and you were kind of starting out, and I was like, okay, you know, working through this whole idea of, I've been caregiving for my parents, and I have all this information in my head, and everyone keeps asking me for this list. Like, how do I know this stuff? And it turned into a 352-page epic workbook for people to be able to go through the process from start to finish with their loved one in caregiving, which has been really exciting. And while we were doing that, and you guys gave me so much support and so much help figuring out how to make this work. Is it a workbook? Is it a small book? Is it a big book? You know, I mean, it really went up and down. And it just means so much to me. And your personal feedback just helped me understand that we all have stories to tell. And I think that I began, with your encouragement, I started helping other people in your group write their books and help them get through a batch of recordings or stuff they brought back from conferences, or work pages, or a suitcase full of napkins in one case with notes on it. And so I'm really proud of all of that. But now I have a book. I have your book to say, when people say, how do I do this? I'm like, here, read this, and you'll know all the answers that it took me years to learn from Jen and her crew. So so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'm excited because I'll be right there. That book behind me is doing really well in different markets. People are using it as a workbook to teach, to work with clients. And now the second book is going to be When Can We Talk, which is about having the difficult discussions with your family around stopping driving or moving or medical care and so on and so forth. So I'm excited. And then I'm starting the Caregiver Gap Year, which is the idea of what do you do? A lot of your authors are talking about purpose. And so this is about when you're done with taking care of others, how do you move on? How do you find your new purpose? And so really excited, and it all started with you. And so I want to thank you, and I wish you the best of luck. And I already ordered your book.
Thank you.
So thank you.
That means I will be hunting you down later to leave a review. As I stated at the top of this, my goal is reviews. At least other authors, we understand what a pain it is to get reviews from people. So when I'm harassing all of you, you'll know why. And I just want to acknowledge that PYP started as a writing program, in a writing/publishing program in 2015. And Fern, you were like the part of the first cohort. So when everyone talks about like being in a writing cohort and what it looks like, what it looked like when Fern was in it, when it was trial and error. And I was like, listen, I don't know what my plan is here. Like, I have an idea of what I'm trying to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I just need you to put some trust in me that we'll get across the finish line together. And if not, I will give you your money back. And so you were one of the first people who was like, sure, I'll see. So I'm very grateful for that. And the fact that it is now from 2015 to 2023, and we are still actively in each other's lives, I think says a lot to our relationship. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Jen, my other Jen. Yes. Talk to us.
Yes. So my book published in September of 2020. So just had my book anniversary, and it is Inclusive AF, a field guide for accidental diversity experts. And my intention in writing this, and I had the good fortune of meeting you, Jen. Congrats on your book. I wanted to create something for the change agents in the world, the people who wanted to improve their workplace, improve their organization, but didn't really know how to start or how to even begin to think about it or bring others along. And so I wrote this with the intention of somebody could pick it up in an airport bookstore on the way to a conference, and by the time they land and get to baggage claim, they already have notes in the margin about things they want to do. So it takes people all the way through the why behind the how of inclusion, because I think oftentimes that can be really helpful in grounding and setting that intention and being really purposeful about what it is you're trying to do. And then it walks through, how do you organize your thoughts? How do you overcome resistance? How do you actually measure and make sure that you're supporting the communities that you want to support rather than unintentionally creating harm or risk for them? And one of the things I love about the book, and it's come up so many times among the other authors who have been talking today, is that sharing stories. So one of the things that I'm most proud of this book is that there are 10 stories that are interspersed, and they're personal narratives people shared with me that have been shared in this book, because I think that's how we connect with each other. Like, I am a data geek. I can put stats out there all day long about why DEI is beneficial, but we don't connect with data, we connect with humans. And so, that was my intention with this one. And it was such a journey to go through with you, Jen, and the team and the cohort that I went through, because I was almost finished writing it in March of 2020, and then it was March of 2020. And I actually ended up taking out huge chunks of the book because it felt like birthday cake for breakfast. It felt like, yes, this is handy. And also, the world is literally on fire right now. So maybe more relevant content. And so it did delay the release a little bit, but it ended up being, I think, more immediately meaningful and purposeful for individuals who could pick it up, who really just wanted it to be able to do something to change the world. And so that's my journey.
I love it. Yes, 2020 was a tricky time for those that were ending their cohort in March of 2020, and then those that were beginning their cohort in March of 2020. So there's definitely some stories to be had in there. And obviously, COVID impacted a lot of book launches, and so my memoir came out in 2020, September of 2020, and I never even did this for my book launch. Literally did nothing for my memoir. I've done a lot of book clubs and things like that, which has been positive and good, but today I'm excited because we can actually celebrate. And, even though we're still virtual and we're not in person, many of us were together recently in person, either in Denver or in Hartford for our annual Mark Twain event at the Mark Twain House. And so that's been good. So I've been able to hug most of you recently, which is nice. Thank you all. I appreciate it. So I'm curious because we definitely have folks watching, and there's lots of comments going on in the chat right now. So does anyone have any questions? Like, we have a few minutes for some FAQ, and anyone who's already up here speaking, is there anything that anyone wants to share, wants to say, talk more about their book? All right, Ellen's very enthusiastically waving.
I feel like I just raised my hand. It wasn't that was pretty low level enthusiasm there, Jen. Your bar is kind of low. I wanted to just bring up, because I was reminded as I was listening to Fern, there are another like added value of this journey alongside other authors and you and the way that you run this organization is that you get to cross paths with people that you have a lot in common with, that you have synergies with, that you can sort of be referral partners or you can cross promote. I know a lot of us write reviews and forwards for each other's books to support one another. And I think that is such an incredibly powerful part of the PYP community experience that I just wanted to add that to the conversation. It's not just about writing your own story, but it's about doing that with a group of humans that not only support you, but can actually connect with you and cross-pollinate each other's bases in very real and helpful, supportive ways. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
I love that. Thank you. And what's interesting is that I know that Lauren Sanders, who is not has not joined us today, but her book is called Empathy is Not a Weakness. And I know that you and Lauren just recently met. Lauren's in Ohio, you're in Michigan, and the two of you just recently met at our event in Hartford. And just over cocktails and appetizers, the two of you were like, wow, there's a lot of common ground between our books. And so sometimes it's so obvious and on the surface, like My Drug Dealer Brought Me to God, Gay with God, like clearly there's some common ground that can probably be had with those books, or Worthy, which is Chris Davis's book, which is the story of an ex-Mormon lesbian. And so like all that's very clear, like, oh, obviously those books would kind of go together. But what you're saying is that sometimes it's not 100% obvious. And then all of a sudden you meet somebody and you're like, wow, we have some partnership potential.
Exactly. Like Fern's book being caregiver tips and a guide. I'm just finishing my next book, which is a memoir about my experience through hell with my own mother as she suffered from dementia. So, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to follow up by email with Fern so that we can connect and talk about the ways in which we might have some things in common to help one another. So I think the community aspect of this is something that should not be underestimated or overlooked as a really important part of the experience.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I do everything I can to make those connections when I see them, just because, and sometimes it's like, I don't know what it is, but I know there's something here, and the two of you will figure it out and then let me know when you figured it out. And it ends up happening. So it makes me happy to hear. So thank you for saying all that, Ellen. I really appreciate it. All right. Another hand raised is Midge. Let's bring Midge back on. And anyone else, like, come. We have time. We actually are doing good on time, which is not always the case.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So I just wanted to pop back on and talk a little bit more about the Gay with God podcast, especially if you're LGBTQ. My podcast is geared to honor your coming out faith journey stories, and we all land in different places. So you do not have to believe in the God of my understanding. You don't even have to have your own personal faith. But if you're wanting to tell your story, if you want to have that honored, publish your promote your book, your business, I'm your girl. So Gay with God is all about being able to honor our community and to see how far we've come. Because if you knew me before, you would not recognize me now, because I was like the people pleaser from all get out. I totally believed in hell and that I was going to go. And it took me 30 years to get this book in my soul. I had to figure it out, and it took me forever. So please, if you in the comments for the authors, I put my guest taping link. So if you're interested in being on the podcast, hit me up. Let's get you on the show. I can't wait to honor your story.
Thank you, Midge.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. All right. Who else? Jen. Yes. All right. I'm going to bring... Oh, and we have Ryan. Oh, good. All right, we get some chatter. Actually, and Betsy, I'm going to put you all on the screen at once, but we're going to have Jen start.
Thank you. I wanted to just congratulate you because I was so nervous when I came on that I didn't say congratulations. And that's actually part of what my book is. I get very nervous and I have a lot of problems with being an introvert. And I kind of was thinking when everybody was talking about community, when I went to the Mark Twain events last week or 2 weeks ago, this kind of just brings it like home for me, is that when I walked in, you immediately came over and you gave me a hug and said hello. And I said, I'm so nervous. And you were like, no, you're fine. Everybody here is nervous. And really, honestly, as we got going, it really is a community. I knew really nobody there. And yet throughout the day and throughout the evening, I just felt like this nice warm hug from everyone. And that's really what I think you have brought to this whole experience, is your ability to kind of make it this safe place where I can just be who I am and everybody can be who they are. And it really is just really magical. What you've created here. And I was not part of a cohort. I already had my book written, but you made me feel very safe, and I was able to trust you with the publishing aspect of my book. And just getting to know all these authors and listening to them today, I mean, these are just amazing people, and I want to read everybody's book. But again, I just want to say congratulations to you, because you have created such an amazing community of writers and authors, and it's just yay. I'm so excited about your book. So
thank you, Jen. And I'm so happy you came out of your comfort zone. And I think that's what's important to acknowledge too, is that as authors, we have to step out of our comfort zones. Even, I definitely wouldn't put myself in an introvert bucket, but I have my introverted moments. And so I think a lot of authors are introverts. And so it's important to just kind of trust the process, as much as people a lot of times get really agitated by that statement. There really is so much to be said about kind of trusting it. So I'm happy that you showed up and you were ready to roll, even with a little bit of a nervousness. And like I said, I was also nervous, right? Like, reading, because we did like book readings to a video, and to have as part of our kind of marketing materials. And it's even nerve-wracking for me to just sit there and read my book. It's like, ugh, I don't know. I wasn't a fan. But like, we're all human. And I think that's what's important. And even like this, right? Like when I was thinking about how do I want to celebrate this day of this book coming out, just the idea of sitting here and talking to myself and like doing like a presentation of like, hey, here's how to do this, or here's how to do, like, that doesn't feel good, right? Like it just, but this feels good because it's just a celebration, because why not have more opportunities to talk about all the awesome work that all of you are doing? Because without you, I wouldn't be here. So it's kind of like it's a nice full circle situation happening. So thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you saying that. Ryan, how about yourself?
I just had to pop back in and say, if you are thinking about sharing your story in a public setting, or like I said before, even in like a journal or audio journal, like, don't wait until your journey's over to share, because the journey's going to continue, right? And so that came up for me. I started writing my book 4 years ago, and it published around 2 years ago. But, it's like a snapshot of where I was at 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't mean that my journey ends, right? So you might pick up my book and think this, that, or that, or the other, but I might have evolved or changed or learned or grew or this or that. And so don't wait until like you think I have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to have something figured out and you can evolve and change. And I think that's a great, way to do a second edition, or to add on to another book, or which I've seen some of the authors do today. And so I just think, just share your story. I mean, it's so powerful. I know I said it before, but I didn't really emphasize like what it really does on like a psychological level. When we share our stories, it helps other people feel comfortable and safe to share their stories, to share their trauma, to navigate their trauma, to realize that they're not alone. There's other people out there, maybe not experiencing the exact same thing, but similar things, or maybe vastly different things, but we can relate because we have trauma around religion, or we have trauma around parents, or we have trauma around this or that or the other. Mm-hmm. And so just share, because as we share, we open up doors and avenues to like really love each other. And to feel supported, and to get to support other people. And that's, to me, one of the biggest keys of life is like, how can we really show up in the world and make a difference on like a day-to-day basis with the people around us, and really, how do we evolve our own heart and on our journey? And so I think really like sharing is so important to that. And you can share in so many ways. Like, you don't have to write a book, but if you are thinking about writing a book, reach out to Jen, because PYP helps. If you're like totally lost, this was not my wheelhouse, never thought I'd be an author, don't really love reading or writing. So my mom says, you shouldn't tell people that. And I said, but it's true. Like, I don't really love reading or writing. And so, but I had a book to share. I had a story to share. And I've learned to appreciate, of course, the other elements of it. So, you know, even if you're not just like sitting at a desk every night writing, like, you have something to bring to the table, and don't, you know, devalue your experience or your story because you're not idealistically what you think an author is. There's so many different types of authors, and there's so many types of artists in the author world. So go for it. That's all. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, that is so well said. The imposter in all of us just creeps on in, where we think that there's like a certain way that an author has to look and act and behave, and have to love the process, and to take a sabbatical and go isolate yourself in the woods for 6 months to write the book. Like, there's all of these just kind of misconceptions. And the reality is that we're all busy with family and jobs, and we have to find time in the cracks of our days sometimes to write this. And sometimes we like writing, and it's like, okay, I found a crack in the day and I'm enjoying this. And other times we hate it, and we still have to find that time. So I think you're speaking to something really impactful that so many people struggle with. So thank you for bringing it up. I love that. Betsy. Oh, we got to make sure we're unmuted. Hold on. Let's see. All right, should be good.
I just wanted to share that having a vision for what you want to do is really important. And when you had the panel at the bookstore at NGLCC in, was it 2018 or 19? I can't remember which
18.
year it was.
18. Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I had not written the book yet. And I remember when I attended the event and watched everyone speaking, and I just stood there and I said, I want to be there. I want to be on the next panel. And eventually I was with Mark Twain last year. So, and then again in NGLCC. And what I have found in writing the book, I talked a lot about using a vision board and really picturing yourself where you want to be. So some of the work that we do at my company is really about bringing a lot of that out in everyone. So I keep this on my desk every day. It's called Visionary Leadership. That's when I operate at my best. So I can't post in the comments, but I just want to encourage everyone, if you go to betsycerulo.com, there's a free download for a workbook that accompanies my book. And that'll really help you to just start taking some of those leaps of writing down what you want. And I happen to be one of those loving introverts that I have to wind myself up to be extroverted, and I do that when I need to. But writing a book, it's really a safe place for an introvert, and it's a way for us to bring out our souls and our hearts. And I think there's an element once we publish it of being an extrovert, because we've really put our whole heart out there on the line for the world to see. And it is a very healing process. It's also there's a depth and it's emotional as you're writing it, because you're constantly rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. It's like, oh God, I gotta look at that chapter again. But when you see the final product, it really becomes this beautiful sculpture. And I also want to encourage the authors. Jen referred me to Tina Dietz at Twin Flame Studios. Mm-hmm. So I did the audiobook, and that was quite amusing at different times. And it was, again, emotional. So it's a process.
Yeah.
So just whatever dream you have, if you're wanting to write a book, you don't have to write War and Peace. You can start with something small. But if this is a dream that you have, just keep one day at a time. Just keep writing one word and it'll lead you to the next, because you're worth it. Your dream is worth it.
Oh, I love that, Betsy. I dropped a link in the comments for people to access the workbook.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anyone else that is down below that would like to surface for a moment? No pressure. All right, Jen and Fern. All right. You're back.
Hey, I just had a really quick comment I wanted to share. So one thing that was coming up as I was listening is that the writing process itself can be really lonely and really intimidating because it's just you and your thoughts and getting it out there. And a lot of times people in your circle, as much as they are supportive, they aren't going to know how to relate to that. The amount of effort that goes into it, and the amount of focus. So writing this story can be feel very lonely and isolating, but sharing your story isn't. Because it has that splash and ripple effect. It goes out, somebody will pick that up, and you will ultimately have the opportunity to change somebody's life for the better in ways that you will never have expected.
Yeah, that's the power of a book.
Share your story. Yep.
Even if the story isn't shared in writing, right? Like just share it in a small group, share it with friends, share it with someone who is in a situation that they need to hear what you have to say. It doesn't always have to even be in a book. Obviously, I think books are valuable, or else I wouldn't do this. But sometimes it's just, sharing it at an open mic night, or, at a poetry slam, or any number of venues. So thank you for saying that. I think that's really important for people to hear. Fern?
First of all, from the caregiver world, support groups are phenomenal. So you can find support groups for just about anything, and then you can share your story there. I learned so much by sharing and hearing other people's stories in support groups. But for all the authors out there, I just wanted to put out that I'm looking at doing a book tour. And as we were all talking today, I was hoping maybe some of you would want to do a joint event with me if I came into your town. So if you're interested in doing that, just reach out. And I would love to arrange that, because what could be more fun than showing up with another author that I can, that knows the territory and knows the area and has a story to tell. I think that would be great. So I
love that.
It's fern@illberightthere.com. Should be simple enough. Just reach out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously any of our authors, please, of course, just let me know and I'll connect you to Fern. But yes, Fern, if you make your way up to Connecticut, because I know you got some roots up here, happy to collaborate. Let's see. Any final, we're at, look at us. I am so impressed with this day, that it is 29 minutes. We have 1 minute to go and we managed to pull this off. So I have been having on the bottom, anyone who's watching that wants to throw your name into the book giveaway super quick, I will actually grab someone's name right now. Any questions from those who are watching live? I see, Mary, you were asking, can I share a list of all of today's presenters and their books? We sure can. That is absolutely something we can do. We'll do kind of like a wrap up in the comments itself, or even go back into the post and make sure we tag people as well. But if anyone wants to drop their name into the book giveaway, I will. All I'm going to need from you, I have a bunch, which is awesome. And I'm just going to kind of do it on the side somewhat without looking. Jam-packed session. That is right now. We've covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time. All right, giving one last call for anyone who wants to throw their name into the mix. Hopefully, whoever has, and I pick you, you have that you're still here. Otherwise, I have your email and I will hunt you down. So it looks like someone pick a cell number between 1 and 23 down at the bottom. Anybody just give me like a numbers at the bottom. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna go. Okay, Mitch says 4. All right, number 4 is Jesse Scheel, SCHEELE. So Jesse, if you are watching still, please reach out and I will get your mailing address so I can send you a signed copy and some other little goodies. And I believe that is everything for today. So thank you all so much for joining me on this this book launch journey for the day. Thank you for all the authors who are here. And again, the book is available on Amazon today for $2.99 for the ebook. So if you would like to purchase it and leave a review, that would be fantastic. If you have made note that you're leaving a review, I will continue to follow up with you because my goal is 50 by the end of October. And then my bigger goal is to get over 250. So it is going to be a lot of stalking folks to make that happen. And I'm committed to doing so. So thank you all so much. And all of the authors, thank you all. I really appreciate you. And I'm going to be emailing you with a whole bunch of other related things soon. All right. Have a great day, everyone. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.